I don't think I'll be able to do today's reflection justice, and the reason is because I don't think I understand the weight of it. I don't think any of us do. Today we're in the Garden of Gethsemane, and at this point, Jesus has already had the Last Supper with his disciples. They don't really understand what's going on. Jesus full well understands what's going on. At this point, he wants to go pray in the garden. Prayer is a very common thing for Jesus. He did it all the time. He often would go out to the wilderness to pray for long periods of the time to where his family would go, "Where's Jesus?" I don't know. He's probably praying. And so he goes out into the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. And it says he falls face down on the ground, crying to the Father, "If it's possible, take this cup from me." We know from scripture that he's sweating blood at this point. I've never sweated blood, but I've seen studies that it's actually science. It's possible to where if you get to that level of stress, it's possible to sweat blood. That's where Jesus was at this point, and it begs the question, why? So often, when we talk about Jesus, and we talk especially about his death and resurrection, we go, and Jesus lived a perfect life, and then he did a ministry, and then he died, and then 3 days later he was risen from the grave, and we kind of just skip over the whole death part, we just skip over it. Why? Pause for a second. Let's talk about death. Whatever the full weight of death means, Jesus felt it. He didn't go to this partial death where he was kind of dead, but not really, and then he came back later because he's Jesus, and it was different for him. No, whatever the full weight of death means, that's what he experienced. Jesus quite literally faced and experienced the full wrath of God on our behalf. And all of a sudden, when we read about him falling on the ground in prayer to God, "Please take this cup from me," and when we read about him sweating blood, all of a sudden it starts to make sense because he was going to experience the full weight of death. He's going to experience the full wrath of God on our behalf. And then what's amazing about it is, what blows my mind about it is that his response is still, "But not my will, but yours be done." The only person who understands the full weight of God's wrath, God himself, willingly experienced it for you. And that is an amazing thing. And that is something I think we take for granted. That's something I don't think we really understand. I think we just kind of skim over it and go, "Yeah, but he came back later, and then we get to be in heaven later." Pause. Think about that for a second. Jesus willingly took on that punishment on our behalf. Think about it, and then comment your thoughts.